Let's practice some effects that Illustrator offers. So we're going to do some effects with shapes, and we're going to pull out a couple panels here. So you're going to grab the appearance panel, and that is usually up here as long as you haven't closed anything. It looks like a little circle with some dots around it, and that's pretty handy. This basically stores all the work and effects you do to one object, so you can always hide something or change it there. And you're also going to go to Window, which is where you can always get your panels, anything that's missing, and grab Graphic Styles. And then, as always, we're always going to have our layers. So it was Appearance, Graphic Styles, and Layers for now. So the first thing we're going to do is just simple, just knowing that you can work with shapes and graphic styles. And you can do this with text too, just some graphic styles that Illustrator stores, quickly do some stuff, some effects basically. So you can make any of these on your own with the effects that Illustrator offers, and we'll cover some of these on our own. But it's nice to know that Illustrator has already made a bunch and stored them for you. So these are just pattern fills, these are some gradients, these are some strokes that have basically been distorted in some way, one of these. Now, these aren't the only ones that are there, so I'm going to keep that. And what you guys are going to do is just pick a shape. You can choose rectangle like I have here. And keep one stroke graphic style, and then make a copy of whatever shape you have. Go down to the bottom left. There's a little library with other graphic styles saved. So you can kind of go through these and get a sense of what they offer, right? So I suggest you kind of go through and look through some of these if you're not familiar with these graphic styles and what they have for you. And then pick one that you like for your fill and your stroke. You can see like some of these are a little bit larger of an effect, so it takes a little bit more time. So you have to go through and do all this stuff. When you find one that you like, then put them together. And I'm going to show you a way you can do this. So obviously you can manually put it together, or you can always line two objects up. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger on purpose. So you're going to just roll over and highlight and select both. And then when you do that, you're going to have these little shapes pop up. So when you roll over, then you'll see what they tell you. For example, this says horizontal alignment, and this one says vertical alignment. And when you roll over these, you'd see what they do. Now, to align perfectly two shapes, it's the horizontal and the vertical alignment that you want that will help you. So I click on one, and then I click on the other, and then because I chose that fill has a little bit larger effect, it's going to take a little bit of time, but it will eventually line those shapes up. All right, so you can try that out as well. It'll be handy for things. And then, you know what, you might as well have your transparency panel out as well. So I'm going to bring that out. Now when I click on this, I'm going to adjust the blend mode. Something that is like a darken or a multiplier color burn for me, because I want the stroke I chose to show through. All right, so hopefully you guys remember these will darken, so they work with dark colors, and they take away whites and lights. These work with light colors, and they take away blacks and darks. And these are more for contrast. Okay, so you're going to have chosen a shape, and you've chosen a graphic style for the outline, and then you've looked through the library and you found a graphic style for the fill, and you put those together and you played with a blend mode for one of them. Okay, now that is, I'm going to just group these, Command G, so they're together. Hold Shift. I'm going to put that to the side. That is one effect that you're doing. All right, and then I'm going to show you guys how you can make some of your own effects. So you can choose a different shape and choose a star. And remember, this saved from when I used it last was a triangle. When you draw with this, you can increase how many points just by, as you're drawing, arrow keys, or you can click and hold and delegate just by number. Okay, so that's keeping the same fill as that last. Just gonna put a basic fill on this. And no stroke for right now. Actually, I'll put it like a stroke that we can recognize. Something high contrast. Increase the width so it's visible. Okay, so we're going to go up to Effect, and then we're going to go to Stylize. So Stylize is a folder that has a number of popular effects with Illustrator. Pretty self-explanatory what they do, but I recommend just, being familiar with where they are, what they do, and being aware that they come with blend modes. So this automatically thinks in multiply. So if this is black and I tell it to lighten, then it's probably going to be the opposite, right? And comes with opacity set, so you be aware of changing that. And this is how you move it from the left, right, top, down. It's on that XY grid, all right? And be sure that when you're working in the effect, you always have the preview on so you can see it. All right, so what I want to point out is that has a drop shadow now. And I'm going to make sure my appearance panel is up. And I want to show you that now, as long as I'm selected on that object, which I am, then it will tell me what's going on. Stroke, the fill, and then that it has an effect drop shadow. And so you can always hide it, make it revisible. You can also click right on it, and all the settings you had will pop right up, so you can make adjustments there without having to make anything new or going over here again and finding it. Okay, so a couple other effects. So like I said, these are kind of self-explanatory, but this one could be something fun. So Scribble will play with the fill and the stroke, and you can see these have a number of options here. So you can play with something like Scribble. And now that I have created Scribble, that drop shadow, I don't like that color. So I'm going to pick a color that I think works a little bit better to see through. I can see that. Okay. So for this second effect, you have chosen a different shape. You've applied a couple stylized effects, and you've worked with the appearance panel and just at least recognized what you can do and seen that every time you apply a couple effects, they pop up and they saved, tell you what's on that object. And then you're going to go to another one that's common, which is distort and transform, and play around with a couple of these. Would be like pucker and bloat. Again, make sure you have your preview and see what they do. When you like something, hit OK. And roughen, tweak, twist, zigzag, those are all nice. So apply a second distort. Okay. And then once you've checked it out with your preview and you've hit OK, you'll see that all that is up there on your appearance panel. Okay, so you can always hide it, see what it did, what's different. And then if you don't like something, you just take it and you throw it away. Now the nice thing is graphic styles is there stored for you, but you can also make your own graphic style. So if you've made something and you know you want to use it again, or you think you might, you just, once it's selected, you go over to graphic styles and you say new graphic style. And then there is your stored graphic style. So if I were to go and grab a circle and just make it a circle, totally different color. Once it's selected, I click on the graphic style. That graphic style will be applied to that shape. Okay? So try that out as well. So now you have three things. You have the graphic styles that are given. You've created a shape with a fill and stroke, and you've done two stylized effects and two distort and transforms. You've made the ones you like. You've clicked on that and you've made it a new graphic style, and then you brought over a third shape and you've made it applied to that graphic style. So that's three things. And now we're going to do one more thing for now with effects. So I'm going to choose a different shape. You can choose whatever shape you'd like. And for right now, I'm just going to do a stroke. And click off that. So no fill, and maybe just a black stroke for right now. And draw your shape. Go to your selection tool, make a copy, all option, hold it down. Position it somewhere close together, select both. I'm going to hold shift and make that a little bit smaller. I'm going to go up to Object, Transform, Rotate. I'm going to make sure I hit Preview and then pick an angle. You'll see that it affects where the shapes are. And I'm going to hit Copy. And now I'm just going to hit Command D, 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 D while holding Command. So you'll see that what it's doing is it's taking my shapes, those two, and it's rotating them, making a copy each time. And it kind of makes this mandala in a sense. So I'm going to do that one more time. And make my stroke size a little bit smaller. I draw one shape, get my selection tool, make a copy by holding Alt Option, choose a stroke color you'd like. I select both, go up to Object, Transform, Rotate, choose a different angle if you'd like, hit Copy, and then hit Command and then just D as many times as you'd like to rotate. Now, keep in mind as you kind of go crazy with the Command D, you're just making a larger and larger object. So if you want to do move it, place effects on it, it's going to take more time because it has more data. So I click off of it. And the only thing you need to understand with this is that they are still individual shapes. So if I click on one and then I move it, I haven't moved the object. So what you want to do is select all, group it, Command G, and now it's one object. So now I can resize it. I'm going to hold down Shift, all right? And you can choose a different stroke, for example. All right, and then one more thing you're going to do, whatever shape you've chosen. Let's see, so most are going to be pretty circular. I would choose the ellipse tool, and then draw a circle that fits. Or you can always draw from the center by holding Alt. Keep it perfect by holding down Shift. And maybe any fill, chose something kind of contrasting. Cover it, go to your transparency panel and choose a blend mode that interacts nicely. You can always play with the opacity, knock it down. And now with this object, go to your effects and choose, you can choose a distort and transform. And choose a pucker and bloat. And maybe a drop shadow or a scribble. Get something you like. Play with the settings. Okay. And then keep everything here because we'll need it for the next practice. So to complete, you're going to have your 2 rotated shapes, another shape, most likely the circle, on it with a transparency or blend mode applied, your graphic style that you created and applied from their shape, and then your shape that you chose 2 graphic styles already existing from. Okay, screenshot of that and submit it to this assignment, but like I said, keep that for the next step.